Everyone thinks their haunted house experience is the most terrifying one until shown otherwise. This video is a compilation of some of the most terrifying haunted houses that made it to the camera. In most paranormal encounters, it's usually the investigators who run to safety. However, in this case, it's completely different. Another 2 Saudi paranormal investigators were exploring an abandoned hotel in a remote area of their country. Both of them were tracking for paranormal activity by closing in on any sound or disturbance. Within minutes, they noticed something walking off, and instead of getting caught in fear, they dashed towards it in curiosity. Hidden underground. Hidden underground, this could either be a witch or a black magic entity during a voodoo ritual. A group of locals in Abbottabad, Pakistan, after hearing numerous echoes of disturbing noise coming from not too far away, decided to investigate it. As they got close to the source of the sound, only discovered this weird figure that was hidden in a ditch covered by a mat while being in the midst of what can only be described as a sort of ritual. Upon being discovered, it tried to scare them away, but the group was more curious than scared. Balcony encounter. The man stood on his balcony when he noticed a strange figure in front of him, its face wrapped in cloth, giving it a haunting, featureless look. A cold shiver ran down his spine as he flicked on his flashlight, hoping to get a clearer view. But in the blink of an eye, the figure was gone. Later, he stumbled upon stories of the Pokong, a ghost said to appear suddenly and vanish without a trace. Terrified, he wet his pants and rushed inside, shaken by the realization that he had witnessed something beyond rational understanding. Discovering paranormal presence. Having to choose to encounter paranormal activity isn't as scary as choosing to haunt the very place you live in. This young lady was streaming on TikTok while on her makeup tutorial when her closet doors started to open and shut on their own. The lights then started to turn off and on before shutting off completely. Being terrified of the situation, she decided to leave the house in panic and rushed to grab her phone, where the clip suddenly gets cut off. Violent paranormal backlash. Just before the closing hours of a saloon, the owner was finishing up with her last customer of the day when something suddenly shook the entire wall. Although the jerk was strong, but there were no severe damages or any injuries caused apart from the mess and the sudden jolt of fear. Now, this certainly wasn't some tremor of an earthquake or anything, rather has a paranormal vibe surrounding it. Terrifying fan following? A Tamil music band, while busy practicing in their studio, didn't know that they were being stalked. Later, as they were reviewing the recorded footage of their performance, is when they noticed this eerie figure that looked like a spirit in physical form, if not a witch, that looked to be odd, almost as if it were some crazy fan. Statue came to life. A paranormal entity moving a lifeless statue is one thing, but noticing one standing up on its legs is completely another. During an idol worship session, the participants were shocked to notice the idol as it started moving only moments before it stood up from its chair. While they believed it to be a divine sign, most viewers of the clip believed that this was some next-level paranormal activity. The reality of what exactly happened here remains a mystery. Girl ghost. Unlike most haunted house entities, this one seems to be the least aggressive. A homeowner, after hearing a disturbance in the house late in the night, decided to check it out. This troubled-looking girl was spotted partially hiding behind a washing machine, who bent down and disappeared as the recorder came close to investigate. Despite the ghostly nature of the girl, she seemed quite innocent. Many believe that this could be her soul unable to rest after losing her life in a tragedy. Paranormal home invasion. A mother walked into a room and was met with a chilling sight of standing in the corner was a dark, shadowy figure. Frozen in fear, she quickly switched on the lights, but to her shock, the room was empty. The figure had vanished without a trace. Later, she discovered that someone who had once lived in the house had suffered a tragic fate, and since then, rumors spread that his spirit lingered in that very corner each night. It became clear that the house wasn't just haunted, it bore the imprint of something far beyond the world of the living. Trapped paranormal investigators. Being locked in by the spirit is probably the worst nightmare of any sane person. These paranormal investigators got to experience it firsthand. Two curious young men decided to film their experience while exploring a known haunted house in a remote location of their village. They entered the premises, and it wasn't until they reached the inner part of the house that it all began. The paranormal entity came face to face with them as they entered the room and had both doors shut, where despite their struggle to escape, they wouldn't budge. The clip ended abruptly, leaving their fate a mystery. Abandoned private property.
La ilaha illallah. La ilaha illallah.
The bigger the place, the more likely that it's haunted. An Iraqi man, while exploring a long-abandoned private property at night, was caught by surprise when he felt the presence of a paranormal entity nearby. What started as an exploration expedition turned into watching out for paranormal activity.
La ilaha illallah.
Creeping shadow. This is one of those stories that makes you double check every shadow in the room. So this guy's just hanging out at home, nothing unusual, until out of nowhere, this massive creepy figure shows up in his bedroom. You can practically feel the fear as he spins around, the camera shaking in his hands. And of course, curiosity gets the better of him, so he goes back to take another look, but it's gone, just straight up vanished. Like, what even was that? A living shadow? Some kind of ghost playing mind games? No one knows, but one thing's for sure, dude's probably sleeping with the lights on for a long time after that. Haunted church.
Oh my God!
This one sounds like it came straight from a horror movie. A group of friends decided to explore an abandoned church, just messing around, acting brave, and trying to scare each other. They looked around, laughed it off, and eventually left. End of story, right? Not exactly. One guy, armed with a camera and a little too much confidence, chose to go back alone, with only a flashlight to guide him. He wandered the dark, empty halls. That's when he saw her, a nun dressed in white, sitting silently, crying. Frozen in fear, he turned and ran. A few days later, he died unexpectedly. Coincidence? Maybe. But some say the church doesn't forget those who disturb its silence.
Oh my God! What the fuck is that?
Face-to-face encounter. When it comes to taking a tour inside a haunted house, you certainly should be ready for the worst that could happen. A Saudi paranormal investigator was exploring an abandoned building after sundown, where within a couple of minutes, he was confronted by a spiritual entity that appeared in a physical form right in front of him. It kept slamming the double door several times, probably to scare him off, but instead, the investigator walked towards it slowly to get a better look.
طب مين انت؟
Before he could do so, the entity moved to the side of the room before vanishing completely. Even after vanishing, it didn't stop scaring him away, as it continued to bang on doors and even throw things at him. Possessed at Ouija Board.
Are you okay? Oh my God!
An Ouija board might be helpful in talking to the spirit of the dead, but this one, however, called in the wrong one. 3 young women were using an Ouija board to try and see if they could connect with a deceased loved one. As they were moving along on the board, one of the girls, out of the blue, seemed to have been taken over by a ghost or spiritual entity, all of a sudden scaring away her friends.
Are you okay? Oh my God!
Spectating intruder.
Kita ni ngaji ni weh. Lagu sekitaran masjid. Weh, apa ni weh? Weh, ni. Sumpah weh.
A small group of little girls who were busy with recitation in a mosque in Indonesia were interrupted as they started staring at the ceiling from time to time. The guardian who was supervising them got curious about what they were looking at, only to discover this terrifying entity that was staring down. Before it could disappear, he managed to catch it on camera. It looked very much like a humanoid, but the face to that of a Frankenstein. Many believe that this could have been a jinn that was making a physical appearance.
Weh, apa ni weh? Weh, ni.
Because of black magic?
Bismillah alladhi la yadhur ma la ilaha illallah la 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 Bismillah Bismillah alladhi la yadhur ma ismi shay.
This isn't your typical haunted house story, but rather a confrontation of a spirit acting out to stop the unraveling of the black magic.
Bismillah alladhi la yadhur ma la ilaha illallah.
A lone man filmed his encounter with a spirit as he entered a premises which he believed to be the location of black magic. From the moment he entered the area till the moment he found the tied evidence of black magic, he was aggressively confronted by the spirit. Despite having his recording camera knocked away from his hand, he kept on filming till the moment he left the area. Beast in Shadow. This clip has the internet spiraling into fear, and honestly, it's no wonder. In the footage, a visibly terrified girl hides inside what appears to be a large abandoned tunnel or basement of a large house. But the real terror begins when a pale humanoid entity emerges, moving with a slow, deliberate creep that feels less like stalking and more like hunting. Its presence is suffocating, unnatural. You can almost feel the dread seeping through the screen. She somehow remains hidden, melting into the shadows, holding her breath as the thing inches closer. Haunted hospital activity. A hospital where many emergency patients have expired is deemed to be haunted, especially after it is abandoned. The source of this clip decided to explore a long-abandoned hospital where after encountering a ghost, it within were left terrified.
Hey, what's up?
What made it even worse was the maze-like structure of the hospital, where in fear the recorder lost his way out. Possessed toy. After seeing what Chucky is capable of, any sane person would be terrified of a toy that looks to be possessed. A little girl was playing with a toy baby along with her tea set and a recording camera when the toy baby started to flinch on its own. In a matter of seconds, the girl eventually noticed it, scaring her off naturally. Regardless of whether this toy was haunted or influenced by an entity, it certainly would have spooked even a grown-up. Cabin Witch. Unlike ghosts or other spiritual entities, a witch tends to be more spooky by its physical presence. A road traveler who, after losing his way in the thick of the woods, decided to spend the night in an empty cabin that he discovered along the way. Just as he was exploring to see if anyone was there, he spotted a scary-looking witch who was staring at him from outside. He panicked out of fear, but managed to film the encounter on his camera. Rental house horror. A man rented a remote house through Airbnb in the forest to spend some alone time. As soon as he reached the location after a 4-hour drive, only to notice an eerie figure on the roof of the house attempting to find a way to break in. He filmed the incident on his camera as obvious proof of the encounter before deciding to walk away. Haunted by Soul.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم إيه يا حبيبي.
A man, while checking out the basement of a long abandoned, had a close and very terrifying encounter with a ghostly figure. Being just outside a small storage room, he noticed the sudden appearance of the spirit on a small glass window in a physical form, instantly terrifying him.
بالله من الشيطان الرجيم أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم.
The recorded still decided to check it out, but it never appeared again, leaving the recording as the only evidence, which according to most paranormal investigators was referred to as una bruja, or at least the spirit of one. What's your opinion? Do share down in the comments. Troubling una bruja. It's one thing to encounter a troubling ghost or a witch, but completely another when it's the other way around. A heavy-duty vehicle operator, while wrapping up after the day's job, had a figure that looked quite like a witch started to bother him. The witch, often referred to as una bruja, was lying on the roof of the excavator watching him in an upside-down manner, almost as if it were waiting for him to get out. Although the social media referred her to be a possible junkie and an ex-girlfriend, but the recorder denied it. Crypt Crusader. A late-night cleaner who was busy cleaning on the outskirts of a crypt had a startling encounter. A spirit, probably of one of the dead, suddenly appeared out from within the crypt, showing its haunting presence before ascending into the sky gradually and disappearing. The cleaner, who was caught off guard, was horrified by the encounter, but still managed to film the encounter. According to him, it almost felt like this Crypt Crusader was first summoned and was being beamed away by a much higher power. Confronted by witch. Of all the bad that comes out at night, being confronted by a witch is probably the last thing anyone would have expected. A rural resident who late in the night was leaving his house to get to a water well just outside his door noticed a weird and tall woman standing outside and staring at him. Now, the fact that it was not behaving erratically at all left behind its nature to be that of a witch. From the way it moved to turned around said enough about it. Rooftop Encounter. Of all the different cases that have been covered till now, being awakened by a terrifying spirit is probably the scariest one. A group of siblings who were fast asleep on the roof of their home, when suddenly they were awakened by the growl of a dark nature entity that was only a couple of meters away from them. The sibling reacted in panic and quickly left the area in fear of as to what might happen next. Occupied vacation home.
Yo, what the is that? What the is that?
Imagine having a property that solely belongs to you until it turns into just another haunted house. A private property owner in Montana was returning to his vacation home in Montana for the holiday. Upon seeing movement, he turned on a flashlight only to find his place occupied by something big and intimidating. He noticed and later filmed a tall, dark figure that was casually moving by the big window of the top floor. Not knowing the nature of this intruder and its potential, he decided not to confront it, rather check it out later on. Paranormal Espionage. Off all the things that paranormal beings may be capable of, this is certainly something that no one saw coming. A team of IT experts working in a confidential corporation where they picked up paranormal activity, from slamming of the door to movement of other objects in the room. The installed security showed typical behavior of a haunted place, but IT experts later reported of breach of their firewall and leak of confidential information. Tied to stretcher. It's unclear if this is a case of demon possession of a man or a zombie that's tied down. Another abandoned hospital visitor was shocked to come across what looked like a troubled man who was tied to a stretcher and left behind in the room. With the moment being quite intimidating and terrifying, the recorder decided not to get any closer. Real Pennywise sighting. You all might be familiar with the infamous character of Pennywise. Imagine getting to see something like it in real life. A girl who was out on the streets close to midnight, she stared down a street storm drain and
Are you down there? The f is that?
jokingly called out Pennywise. This is probably why you should be careful for what you wish for. Haunting intruder. Imagine walking through your house when you hear a strange noise above. That's what happened to this girl. Curious but uneasy, she looked up and froze. High on the wall, through a doorway, a pair of eerie eyes stared back at her. They didn't look human, then just as quickly, the face slipped into the shadows. Was it a ghost watching her or something darker, waiting for the right moment? Some say it was just the light, or the house settling. But her fear? That was real. If it were me, I wouldn't stick around to find out. I'd be out of there in a heartbeat. Thank you very much for watching the video. Share in the comments and do like the video and share it with your friends. Subscribe to the channel and hit the bell icon to not miss any of the upcoming amazing videos. Thank you once again,